Are you ready for the finale?
I've never been more ready in my entire life.
That's probably not true. So, remember those bound things I was talking about? It's kind of like foreshadowing to this. I actually really like the background here. It doesn't parallax very well, or at all, honestly, I don't think. But I just think it's really rad that it's like this whole kind of creepy, like, oh, this is really not something I want to be dealing with, I don't think. Like, it kind of hammers home the whole idea of Sigma as a virus, like an unending body that can just keep returning, as opposed to just like, it's Sigma again, he's back, you didn't kill him the first time. It really is more interesting just from a plot perspective.
Yeah.
Granted, after 10 games, it gets a little hackneyed, but at this point on, you're just like, oh shit, like, this is really bad, it looks like. Also, I don't know why, but X3 has this a lot, where it's like this weird sort of offset, tapered thing going up, and it's probably just to make use of the upward air dash, but it's just really painful.
Oh hey, Sigma's out of health. You won. You did it.
Awesome!
So you're looking a little over-designed there, Sigma.
Yeah, so the sprite doesn't translate what they drew very well. I actually like this Sigma design, but because of those two back spike things that are kind of like the shape of a cowl, or whatever you want to call it, it looks like he's got a single mohawk or horn, and it just ruins this one's design for me. He does not have a horn. I want to make that readily apparent for anybody that might have been confused. He does, however, fling his mighty shield a la Captain America, and shoot like really lazy fireballs. But yeah, this pattern's pretty easy. Use the cross-charge shot, just like get up behind him and you can kind of dink him in the back of the head. And ideally what you want to do is while he's jumping across, you can time your sword swing and hit him like that, and then get those cool waves and do a whole shit ton of damage to him.
He seems to be putting up more of a fight than he did in the last one, but I liked the last one a lot better.
Well, the thing about the last one is I used the punch to finish him off in our video. The last one's fight is way more dynamic and honestly a little bit more difficult than this one is. Because if you've got the double air dash, it doesn't even matter. You can just stay above him the whole time and he'll never damage you. The only reason I'm taking damage is because I'm stopping to try to hit him with the sword swings.
Sigma.
Just standing in midair, that's how powerful Sigma is. Don't even worry about it. Oh, his hands are little skulls. That's cute. It's like he's got goth mittens on. I'm so dark and edgy. I am all of the evil. So, anytime you hear us say Battle Body, at any point in the franchise, it's based on this boss fight. I both do and do not like this final Sigma design.
Body.
Yeah. Like, on the one hand, it's kind of cool, and on the other hand, it just looks like just a pile of things.
Shit.
Not even shit, just like... And I mean, I guess it's kind of almost the point, because it is, like, Doppler was just making this makesift war machine for him, and it is just covered in guns, so it's not wrong.
He's just kit bashing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, it's just the whole joke of like, it's too detailed to move.
And God, those lasers.
That attack, though, is really scary if you got locked into it, because it will just continuously do damage. It doesn't actually put you into a grace and vulnerability state.
Jesus, that sprite flicker.
Yeah, so if you're not paying attention and you're inside that beam shot, you will just lose all of your health instantly. It's really scary to not pay attention to. So, if you're not aware of it, his only hit detection is on his tiny little bald-ass head. Hitting is a pain. I actually am surprised at how quickly I do it in this one. Usually this fight gives me a little bit more trouble, but I kind of nail it.
I think it might be the top half of his head, too.
Yeah.
Like, his chin is immune.
It would make sense. It's a glorious chin.
That or it's the gun is blocking.
Yeah. So, the general way you want to go about hitting him with the sword wave, from the front or the back, is when he's up in the air, moving forward like a backing up semi-truck, you can jump, and at the pinnacle of your, or at the peak of your jump off the top of the screen, generally you can set the sword wave out, and it'll clip the top of his head, and hit him that way. So, it's just the easiest way to line it up, because you don't have to worry about aiming so much as just like getting to the top of the screen, and you can just tell where you are based on that, as opposed to anything in the center. So, this has always been confusing. We got Wireframe Sigma back. We now know it's the Sigma virus. Cool plot significance. Says, okay, if I can't beat you, I'll infect you. And then he just, like, raises lava out of the floor. It's like, Sigma, how? What? Like, what are you talking about?
Pictured hacking.
Yep, this is how the internet works, guys. So you always want to stick on the right side of this room, and you want to get above him, because he will damage you here. If you're down below that, like, like a fly knocking into a light bulb, that'll actually damage you, and it will knock you into that lava, and you will get your shit wrecked. Also, as a pro tip, and this has happened to me on playthroughs before, if you're climbing that wall and the lava hits you while there's still a thing above you, you will get crushed and die instantly because the screen is scrolling up. So you really need to keep an eye on your upward air dashes. It's really important to keep ahead of that because you'll have to do all of those Sigma fights over again if you die there.
God.
Yeah, it's really lousy. Not even really at fault of like an overly difficult thing. It's just like kind of a beginner's trap scenario where like if you're not aware of it, then you're probably going to die to it and it sucks.
Oh, hey, Shuriken's back.
Right? I wish I had the name of the thing that projected Shuriken because it totally has a name. Also, this dialogue is also a little borderline English, which, you know, it sucks, because it dampens kind of a cool moment. And this is one of those instances where even though this is the point where they started thinking, like, okay, we have an overarching plot, this is going to continue, this could have been a really good end.
For Sigma?
For Sigma, just, yeah. And one thing that really bothers me about game design, and it doesn't happen as much anymore, especially based on, you know, like, the really popular games like Call of Duty and stuff like that, really just shoot mini-mans and stuff like that, as Campbell would put it. But early on, and for certain things now, you have what I call Bowser Syndrome, which is just the same boss over and over and over. Like, it's Sigma, who'da thunk it?
Ganondorf.
Like, yeah, it's Ganon.
Bowser.
It's, yeah, Bowser, or like, it's Wily. And for the most part, I forgave it for the Mega Man Classic games, because it was just like, plot of the week thing. Like, there's
like
really...
the Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, like, there's not supposed to be a lot of depth to that, but for this one where they're like, we wanted to make it more hardcore, it's like, you couldn't think of anybody else, and it sucks, because, like, you have Doppler in this one, you have the X-Hunters in the last one, and I don't mind a Resurrection or two. Those are fine, as long as you space them out. The Zero series deals with it really well, because it's got the 4 games, and then you have 4 distinctly different final bosses, and all of it is one cognitive plot, like playing 1 through 4 together, flows really, really well. It's almost like seasons of a show. And I wish that they had had the foresight to do that with X. And I know this is like 1994, 1995 and stuff like that when 2 and 3 came out, so they didn't really have that kind of concern yet for the heavy plot, but like, it would have benefited so much for not just like, Sigma's back! Whoa! Because it's like, oh, of course he is. Like, nobody's surprised. He's usually on the cover of the game. Or like, you know, something, so...
And like...
It's
all
never
the way through at least X7, possibly even X8, it's like, who's the big bad guy?
Yeah,
and
like,
it's just fucking Sigma in slight
silhouette.
shadow.
Yeah,
it's like,
and not even silhouette. It's always like, you could tell it's like he's got the eyes and the crystal and then like the clown stripes. It's like, you're not, like, it's not even subtle, so this could have, like, X3 would have been one of my favorites outright if it was the one that stopped that from happening. Because there's the grounds in every single game after this where it could have been somebody completely different, and it just never is. It makes me sad.
well, what are you going to do?
It almost is in the 2 Game Boy ones. Both times, but then it isn't. I guess technically, in a way, it is in 2. Which we'll see next time. Oh, well, I guess I should hold the next time comments for after the credits, because now it's the credits. But, I guess at this... Or, well... Oh, right! The final Animu splice. So, pardon how rocky this edit is, but we wanted to try to include everything in, and this is just the easiest way to do it. So, it doesn't look the best, but we wanted to do that definitive version for you guys, especially...
Well, this is basically what it... This is what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, I know, but...
Like, this is what it's supposed to look like. There's nothing wrong here.
I thought there was some kind of, like, weirdo... Whatever. Definitive version, it's cool. And I love this. I love this as a detail for the animated bits because it's showing other bits of what's going on in the previous games and stuff like that that weren't in anything else. So they actually animated brand new scenes just for the credit sequence, as opposed to a lot of games that'll even do it modern, where it's just like, here's all the boss cutscenes again. It's like, that's great and everything, but like, look at how cool this is.
Yeah.
I wish it were a higher resolution, but I just, I don't know, I think it's really, really rad that they had the foresight to do this. And I wish, because they did animated stuff in 4, the voice acting is infamous, but I think it's really cool that they did it, and I wish they continued having the time and budget to continue doing it for all of them.
Yeah.
8 does do it.
Because I'd like to watch an X cartoon.
I would watch an X series. I mean, obviously I'm violently biased in favor of that kind of thing, but, you know, I think it'd be really cool. I think it would translate well, too. I wish this kind of showed snippets of their cutscenes again, but it's neat that it's present.
Yeah.
That's more what I was talking about, Rocky-wise.
That thing that's an incomplete edit that will not be visible to the final games?
Well then you...
That thing I was telling you before we started recording?
Don't even worry about it!
You might catch a few frames of it.
It's the credit sequence.
Is it?
The important thing is, Myth is great at editing, and I should shut up. But yeah, so I think at this point it's kind of safe to do the whole this has been X3 thing. I think we've already made it pretty clear that it's our least favorite out of the Super Nintendo games, but it still really holds up. I think
it's our least favorite, but it's still a really good game.
Yeah, it's totally worth playing through, even if you can't have like our A+ definitive version at all. I would advise doing the Saturn one just to... I think the animated cutscenes are interesting, but if you don't really care about that...
Just get it on the Wii U.
Yeah, just do that. Glorious HD save states if you need them, stuff like that. I wish that a lot of the mechanical systems in this one carried through longer. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they do kind of come back. There's like the Rescue Reploid system that'll come up, which is almost similar, mostly terrible. There's the shop in some of them, and different power-up parts and things like that, but it just never feels the same as like going out and finding them in the levels that this one had. And I feel like with more level design improvements that they would have over the course of like, okay, here's our mechanics nailed, now let's just improve the visuals, it could have stacked up really, really differently, and each entry could have absolutely been better than the previous one, but it kind of hits a rocky point from here on out that doesn't really recover fully until like the end of things. So
yeah. Go play the Zero series after this.
Once we get to 8, I'll go through my whole like definitive opinionated list, since everybody at that point will be all caught up. No one's gonna watch them all the way through that way, but it'll at least be the end, and anybody that's interested can find it there. Or maybe I'll do like a end of series review episode sort of thing that isn't just Let's Play that's scripted out or something. We don't know yet. But yeah, this is the last one. It doesn't say "and you as Mega Man X," but it's still present at least, and then it goes to this really nice sort of like final scene. I don't know, like it's sappy as hell, but I really like this kind of thing. I'm just like, yeah, you saved the day, and the heroes are present, and it's just great.
X is looking a little off-model in the face.
It's alright. Honestly, the fact that they try, and I love that it goes to stuff like this. I don't know. I like shit like this.
It looks better while it's in the filter.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining us for this. Thanks for watching, as it thanks me for playing, and Myth for editing. And we will see everybody again for Extreme 2. Extreme 2 at this point. It's just the full completion. Hopefully you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed kind of making fun of it.
Yeah. 4 down, 6 to go.
We're almost there. Once we hit the lesser than great ones, we'll have more to rag on, so hopefully that'll at least be entertaining. And we'll still try to be as informative as possible. But yeah, so thanks for watching.
Bye.
It's appreciated as always. You're all my favorite.
Except you, Steve.